वेलकम ब्याक लर्नर्स। आजको भिडियो एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ है। यो चाहिँ हामी इङ्ग्लिस पोडकास्ट सुनेर चाहिँ होइन हामीले इङ्ग्लिस सिक्ने, हाम्रो इङ्ग्लिसलाई कसरी इम्प्रुभ गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने बारे रहेको छ होइन। सो विदाउट वेस्टिङ टाइम लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड।
All right, so let's dive into this essay about how important English is today. I'm really curious to see what it says.
Well, it goes pretty deep. It's not just about talking to people. It argues that English is like this key that unlocks a ton of different opportunities.
Okay, I'm interested. So where does it start?
It starts by calling English this global bridge, and it looks at how many people speak it. Over 1.5 billion. That's like almost a fifth of the whole planet.
Wow, that's a huge number. But does everyone really use it as a common language?
They do. It's called a lingua franca, which basically means a language that people from all different cultures use to communicate. And English kind of fell into that role over time because of things like, British colonialism and America becoming a superpower. It's interesting how language changes like that.
So it's almost like a historical accident that English is so dominant.
Yeah, in a way. And that history is important because it helps us understand why English is in such a powerful position in the world today.
That makes sense. But besides traveling and maybe ordering food in a foreign country, where else is this lingua franca thing important?
One of the biggest areas is education. Think about it. A huge amount of knowledge, especially in things like science and technology, is written in English.
Yeah, that's true. I've definitely seen research papers and articles that were only in English.
Exactly. So if you're fluent in English, you have access to this massive amount of information that might not be available in other languages. This can be anything from, the newest research to stuff from top universities.
Makes you wonder how many people are missing out just because they can't access this information.
That's an important point. Language barriers can be a real problem for sharing knowledge. And this isn't just about studying abroad. Even if you're learning in your own country, being able to read English opens up so many learning resources.
So knowing English is like having a VIP pass to knowledge.
That's a good way to put it. And that access can lead to all sorts of new discoveries and innovations that benefit everyone.
Okay, so we've got communication and education. What else does the essay talk about?
Well, something that's really important today is business. It talks about how English has become crucial for companies that work across borders.
I can see how that would be important, but is knowing English really that big of a deal for getting a job?
It depends on the field, but for a lot of industries, being fluent in English gives you a real advantage. Like in the tech industry, a lot of the really innovative stuff happens in places where people speak English. If you can't communicate there, you miss out on chances to collaborate and move up in your career.
It's like language is this hidden infrastructure, like the plumbing of the world.
I like that. And it's especially true with technology. I mean, the internet started in America, and English has been part of it from the beginning.
So, yeah, whether you're a software developer or trying to reach customers in other countries, knowing English is a powerful tool.
Definitely. And this brings us to another big area where English is dominant: entertainment.
Now, that's something I understand. I love all the great movies, TV shows, music, and books in English.
Right. And you can experience all of that in the original language without depending on translations that might miss some of the details.
Yeah, sometimes those translations just aren't the same.
It's like having the director explain everything. You get a much better understanding of what they were going for.
Plus, you get to understand those jokes that don't always translate well.
Exactly. But beyond just being practical and entertaining, the essay says something really important. English is more than just words. It helps bridge cultures.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, think about literature. When you read a book by someone from another country, you get to see the world through their eyes and learn about their culture and values.
Like building understanding across different places.
Yeah, and that kind of understanding is so important, especially now that the world is more connected than ever.
It sounds like learning English isn't just about a skill, but about expanding how you see the world and connecting with people.
That's exactly what it's about. And we'll talk more about that as we keep going with our deep dive into English.
It's interesting how we went from ordering food to talking about connecting with different cultures. It seems like learning English isn't just practical, but a way to experience more of the world.
Exactly. And speaking of experiencing the world, the essay talks about how English can totally change how you travel.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Even simple things like reading signs and menus are easier when you know the language.
right. But it's more than that. Imagine being in a busy market somewhere, talking to the locals, getting their recommendations, or even just chatting with other travelers from all over.
It sounds like you can really connect with the place when you can speak the language.
For sure. It lets you get away from just being a tourist and have real experiences.
So English is more than just getting by. It helps you really engage with the world.
Exactly. And it goes back to that idea of English as a bridge between cultures. When you understand the language, you're more likely to see different points of view and hear different stories. It really broadens your understanding.
It's like every conversation is a little cultural exchange. And speaking of cultural exchange, tell me more about how English does that through things like books and movies.
Yeah, the essay talks about how English literature, especially, gives you a look into other cultures. Imagine reading a novel by someone from a country you've never been to. You're suddenly in their world, seeing things from their perspective.
It's like learning empathy through stories.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just novels, movies, TV shows, even song lyrics can do that.
It makes me think about how many people around the world connect with American culture through Hollywood movies or English music.
That's right. And even though there are definitely some criticisms about how much English language media is out there, you can't deny how it connects people from different places.
It's interesting how English can help with cultural exchange, but also bring up these questions about, one culture being too dominant.
That's an important point. It shows how complicated the role of English is in the world today.
It seems like there's so much more to it than just grammar and vocabulary.
Absolutely. The essay does a really good job of explaining that. And as we get toward the end, it focuses on this idea of English as a passport to opportunities around the world.
That makes sense. We've talked about communication, education, business, travel, and understanding different cultures. It seems like knowing English opens doors almost everywhere.
It really does. And the essay asks readers to think about what's stopping them from taking advantage of those opportunities.
That's a good question. What do you think holds people back?
Well, for some people, it might be being afraid to fail or thinking it's too hard to learn a new language. Others might feel like they don't have the time or the resources. But the essay says that with all the ways to learn languages today, there's really no reason not to try.
It sounds like there's a way for everyone, whether it's online courses, language exchanges, or even just watching movies and listening to music in English.
Exactly. And the essay reminds us that learning English is worth it. It's not just about the skill, it's about all the possibilities it opens up.
It's a powerful message, especially in today's world.
I agree. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to mention one more thing the essay talks about. How learning English helps you grow as a person.
Oh, right. It says it can help you think better, improve your memory, and even make you more confident. Tell me more about that.
One thing is that learning a new language, especially one as complex as English, makes your brain work in a good way. It makes you think differently, solve problems, and connect ideas that didn't seem connected before. This can actually make your brain more flexible and even help your memory.
So it's like exercise for your brain.
Yes. And then there's the confidence you get from learning something new. Being able to communicate in another language can be really empowering, especially in situations where you might have felt shy or unsure of yourself before.
Like getting a superpower.
I love that. It shows how learning English can be so much more than just a skill. It can be a way to learn about yourself and grow as a person.
It sounds like we've just scratched the surface of what this essay has to say. I'm really interested to see how it all comes together in the conclusion.
Me too. I think you'll find the ending makes you think.
It's really amazing how this essay has tied together all these different ways that English is important. We talked about practical stuff like communication and business, but also bigger ideas about connecting with different cultures and growing as a person.
It really shows that English is more than just a language. It affects how we see the world, how we learn, and how we connect with each other.
And I bet the conclusion brings it all together.
It does. The essay ends with this really interesting question. It asks, if English is the key to so many things, education, jobs, traveling the world, understanding different cultures, what's stopping you from using that key and seeing what's out there?
Wow, that's powerful. It makes you think about what you might be missing if you don't take the chance to learn English and use it.
Exactly. And it's not saying other languages and cultures aren't important. It's about understanding how unique English is in today's world and how it can help people find so many opportunities.
It feels like this essay isn't just telling us to learn English, it's like it's inviting us to try new things, connect with the world in new ways, and see how powerful language can be.
I think that's a great way to put it. And as we finish up this deep dive, I'd encourage you to think about that invitation. What do you want to achieve? What connections do you want to make? What are you ready to explore?
That's a great question. And I think this conversation has given us a lot to consider. English is about way more than just basic communication. It's a tool for learning, for growth, for connecting with people, and for opening up all sorts of possibilities.
Well said. And remember, learning English can be an adventure. It's a chance to challenge yourself, see things from different perspectives, and discover new ways of looking at and interacting with the world.
So to everyone listening, I'd say go for it. Find what works for you and start your own journey with English. You might be surprised by what you can do.
I agree completely.
This has been a really insightful discussion. Thanks for taking us through this interesting essay.
It was my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay curious, and we'll see you on our next deep dive into something new.
If you find this video helpful and knowledgeable, please subscribe to this channel to support me and show your love for me and this channel. If you want to watch more videos like this, comment in the comment section below by writing "We want more." See you in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.